Hello, today we're going to be working on Python lesson number 4. We're going to be creating a GUI interface. It's a graphical user interface using the most common library that you can use in Python. It's called Tkinter, and we're going to create a small little program that'll have a window displaying an image of your choice and also a button, and that button is going to do something. We're going to define a function as well. I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to get started. We're going to start by importing Tkinter. Actually, let's say, sorry. So we're going to say from Tkinter import everything. If I just said import Tkinter, I think that would work too, by the way. So, and you do have to install Tkinter first. Go to command prompt, type in pip install Tkinter. There are other tutorials on that. It's pretty simple. Go ahead and try that. I'm not going to go over that today, though. So from Tkinter import asterisk, and then we want to assign a variable. I'm going to just call it window. Some people will call it root. Same thing. So window and then tk and then window dot title. Again, this is a function, is a built-in function, and we are going to name this something. And I will just call this my GUI, graphical user interface program. I hate the word GUI. It just sounds gross. So my GUI program. And that's going to give it title at the top of the window. And then I'm going to make up some words here. This is my one variable I'm going to use. Show image. You can, again, it's a variable. You can call it anything you want. Photo image. This, of course, is a built-in function. So a photo image, that's a file. And the image I'm going to use is burger.png. You can use anything you'd like. So file equals burger.png. Picture. You might have some issues if you use a JPEG. Tkinter can be a little picky about that sometimes. So we'll go ahead and try it. I actually don't remember. Picture and then label. We're going to turn this into a label, and we'll have window, comma, image equals show image. Now what we're going to do in this first part here, and then of course picture. So we're taking that picture, and then we're going to do what's called pack. This is a nice little function that'll just stick it where the most convenient place to put it, which would be in the center, top center of the window. And whenever I make GUI interfaces, I use pack a lot, because that way if you adjust the window size, it just kind of puts it in there. It packs it in the way it says. So window dot main loop. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and run that. And you should see a little window pop up. That is, and there we go. And so this, you actually can't see, it should say my GUI program up here. Because the picture is so small, you don't see the text at the top. And so there is my simple little program. So let's go ahead and add to this. Let's do something a little more fun than just showing a picture in the window. So I am going to add, so we're going to define a function here. And let's take window main loop. We're going to move that down to the bottom because we're putting this all in a loop. If you do any Arduino or C++, you'd be using loops a lot. You should be very familiar with that. So we're going to define a function. This is where it gets really fun. So define add label. I'm just calling it add label, okay? Because that's what this function is going to do. So define add label, W, I'm just calling it W. I can call it whatever I want. I'll define that variable in a minute. So W pack. So we're going to take this thing that I'm calling W, we're just going to pack it in there under the picture. Define, just like when you're writing an if statement or for loop, you do need to, spacing is imperative in Python. Drives some programmers nuts because they don't want to have to stick to that. But yeah, you do have to have proper spacing, otherwise it won't work. So take us out of the loop, or out of that defining of the function. So W, and we're just going to call W label. We're going to turn this into a label, and now let's explain what this label is going to look like. So I'm going to say it's going to be in the window. FG for foreground is red. I'd like to make it red so we can see it really easily. Text, we're going to say, I just pressed a button. Yay. And then font, what kind of font do we want? we're going to say none. That you're going to get a font, but it's just the generic font that it gives you. I don't know what it's called. And then we'll give it a nice big bold, 26 bold. So we're going to see big, huge text that's going to be red, and I'm giving it a giant 26 size. And then button add label, and then button. Now, again, now we're explaining what that button is going to look like. So button window text add label. Okay, so that's what I'm writing on top of the button. Again, I can say anything I want there. And then background black. I'm giving it a black. I think they look nice, kind of a little more modern when they're black, when they're have a black background. But you can do what you want. And I'll say gray for the foreground of the button, and then comma. You can do this in Python with spacing. I just put comma, and then it will drop my cursor down to the next line in the middle. Font, and then we're going to say none again. And then we're going to make it a little smaller, 15 bold. And then command. The command is important because, of course, how else would it know what the button is doing? So you can see this add label right here. It's calling over here on this function. So all it's doing is it's just packing that. It's just basically taking that label and it's putting it somewhere. And then, of course, we're going to put the button add label pack function. There we go. So let's go ahead and try and see if this works. I could push this button. I tend to use just the function F5. And so let's see if our code works. Let's wait. There we go. All right. So here it says add label. So I'm going to click on this and we'll see if we get text. And we do. I just pressed a button. Great. Thank you. Feel free to pause anytime. And next time we're going to be talking about making sounds and doing a lot more fancy stuff with your GUI interface.